Yesterday, one of my favorite up-and-coming Bollywood actors, Sushant Singh Rajput, died of suicide at the age of 34. And I was heartbroken and shook by the story, and many have asked me to speak on this topic. So in this video, there's going to be no fancy cuts, no transitions, nothing out of the ordinary. Just going to be a quick, raw video and emotional piece that I want to talk about mental health and suicide and depression, specifically in the Asian community. Before I jump into it, I do want to preface by saying right off the bat that for the loved ones, relatives, close family members, friends, anyone who knew Sushant in person, my heart, my love, my prayers, my positive vibes go out to you, because just like death in any means, going through the grieving process is very difficult, and he died by suicide. He was young, he was vibrant, but he died by suicide. And that's the first thing I want to talk about right off the bat. There's in the media, even to this day, no matter where you are, whether in America, in India, in Pakistan, in UK, in Australia, whenever a celebrity or a prominent figure dies by suicide, the media tends to start showcasing the story by saying so-and-so committed suicide. And I'm already seeing stories come out about Sushant, and it says that Sushant committed suicide. And we need to end that type of phrasing and that type of terminology right off the bat, because when someone says the word committed, is followed up with usually committed a crime or committed a sin. And dying by suicide is neither a crime nor a sin. Dying by suicide is a series of events to that person's personal story and journey that led up to them taking that heartbreaking action of taking their own life. And Sushant died by suicide, and it is absolutely tragic what has happened. And the reason I want to talk about this is there is still a massive stigma in the world around mental health, again, specifically in the Asian community. I grew up in Pakistan. I'm a Pakistani, and I dealt with depression and anxiety pretty much my entire life. That's when I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder and depression. Those are things that I talk about quite a bit. If you've seen any of my videos, listen to my podcast, seen any of my posts on social media, I'm a huge mental health advocate because I think it's really important. Because I feel like in the Desi community, in the Asian community, men specifically have a tendency to not open up about their emotions, about their feelings, about their heartache, about their depression, about their anxiety, about their mental health, because they see it as a sign of weakness. A lot of people look at it as a sign of weakness, that if I talk about my anxiety and my depression, I am going to be considered a weak person. It takes a lot of strength and courage to open up to anyone, no matter who it is in your life, about you hurting, your heart hurting, you being in despair. Sushant's mother has come out and said that he indeed was suffering with depression, but he didn't open up about it. And many people will say, hey, Sushant was 34 years young, he was vibrant, he was in incredible movies like MS Dhoni and PK, he was an up-and-coming Bollywood actor, he had an entire career ahead of him, he was successful, he was thriving, he seemed happy. Why would he die by suicide? Mental health is a very complicated and intricate and complex matter to talk about. Even someone who is going through it, it is very difficult to express your emotions and feelings. I couldn't find the right words through my own self to really tell others what I was going through, what I was feeling. It's a very, very difficult thing. And you do not need to be ashamed or be disheartened if you are going through anything mental health related. If you are suffering with depression, please know that there's help out there. Whether it's a support group, it's a therapist, it's a counselor, it's a friend, it's a colleague, or, in extreme cases, if you do have a chemical imbalance that may be triggering your depression or mental health associated concerns, there's nothing to be ashamed about when it comes to taking medication for a time being as well, okay? This is really important. Even though myself was able to conquer my anxiety disorder through natural remedies, which I talk about a lot in my videos and my podcasts, please know that if you need to be on medication, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing to be ashamed about. When you go to the doctor and you have issues with your heart, possibly your kidney, or any of your organs, your vital organs, no one is ashamed or alarmed if they have to be on medication. If you have thyroid issues, if you have hypothyroidism, if you are prescribed medication for that, you immediately start taking it because you want to be better. Why is it so different when it comes to your brain? Your brain is an organ. It is a vital part of your being and your functionality. So if you are suffering and your brain is, in pain, and if you have to take medication for it to help balance those chemicals, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, and I'm not going to speak on Sushant specifically on what he was going through, because I don't know that, and you don't know that, and none of us might ever know that, because he was going through struggles of his own. But if you are going through any of those issues on your own, please seek the help that you need. There's always someone to listen. There's always someone to help you through it. I thought I was alone in this until I started opening up about it. Okay, so if you are going through that, please open up. And now, for those of you who have never dealt with depression or anything mental health related, this is something really important as well. I talk about this all the time. I say that you are the answer to someone's prayer. Aap kisi ki dua ka jawab ho. You are the light to someone's darkness. Aap kisi ki andher ki roshni ho. There are people in your life, in your city, in your community, in your country, who are suffering and struggling and crying themselves to sleep. They're suffering in silence. You are going to encounter someone today. You're going to walk past someone today, whether it's at the market or at the gym or just on a walk. You are going to encounter someone who may seem like they're perfectly healthy and fine on the outside, but they're hurting on the inside. Simply saying hello, simply asking how someone is doing, simply saying, hey, how can I help you? If they look like they need help with something. Just starting a conversation can change someone's life, their week, their day, whatever it may be. Okay, there's people that are suffering and struggling in silence, and it doesn't even have to be a complete stranger. It could be someone in your life right now, a close relative of yours, a friend that you absolutely adore and admire is suffering right now. And maybe is someone you haven't talked to in weeks. Pick up the phone. If you're thinking about someone, there's a reason you're watching this video. I'm a huge believer in the universe and the law of attraction, obviously. There's a reason you are watching this video right now. And there's other Sushants out there who are suffering and struggling in silence. Someone who you have not talked to in some time. Pick up the phone, text them, call them, in fact, meet them in person, and just say, how have you been? How is life? What can I do for you? I have missed you. I've missed our conversations. I've missed being, in your presence. What is something that I can help you with right now? Okay? And they might open up to you and say, you know what? I have been really struggling with something, and I really, really, really need this conversation. It could just be a simple conversation. I have dealt with depression and anxiety. I've never been suicidal. I've never had suicidal tendencies, but I've had suicidal thoughts. And I don't want to alarm anyone. This doesn't mean that I'm going to follow through with anything. That's not what I mean. What I'm trying to say is, if you're going through depression, you know what I'm talking about. You can relate to this, that you just feel like, you're just so much better when you're just asleep. And life is so much more easy when you're just sleeping through it, because, there's no pain, there's no suffering, there's just dreamland. And you wake up and you have to deal with the day-to-day activities. You have to deal with whatever it is in front of you that's been stressing you out or causing the anxiety and depression, and you have to deal with it head on. And until you push past that fear, until you push past that thing that is bothering you, or that conversation you need to have, or the decision you need to make, you will continue to have these thoughts, depression and anxiety, and you can get through it. You will get through it. You will push through it. Just seek the help that you need, and don't suffer in silence. Don't struggle in silence. And the reason a lot of people are shook by the story of Sushant is because not a lot of actors or famous Bollywood celebrities die by suicide. It's a very rare thing, and when it does happen, people are very confused by it, because again, it's not talked about often in the Asian culture, in the Asian community. It's not a very openly discussed topic, and it needs to be. We need to start being more vulnerable. We need to start having these conversations with those that we really truly care about, and just openly discussing and dissecting our emotions and feelings in a way that is healthy for us. Because depression and anxiety, another interesting thing about it, and what I found, is even though you're holding everything inside yourself, that conversation, that decision, whatever it is that's causing you anxiety and depression, it'll eventually manifest itself into physical ailments and physical symptoms. The stressors, the pain, the racing of the heart, all those things eventually will start to showcase itself in a physical manner. Not being able to catch your breath, feeling like you're going crazy, not being able to sleep, all these other things, because your anxiety is nudging you and telling you that you need to do something, you need to take action. Because, you do not need to suffer in silence. You do not need to struggle in silence. And for Sushant and anyone who has lost a loved one really close to them from death, from suicide, my heart goes out to you, my love goes out to you, my prayers go out to you. Please seek the help, have that conversation, and reach out to someone you care for. And again, thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of this community and listening to my podcast and watching the videos, because again, I create this content and have these conversations and this open dialogue because I want you to be able to do the same. I hope you have a wonderful day. Stay healthy, stay safe, and we will see you soon.